I can basically make your property stand out and get a lot of eyes. I would say 100% when it's time to sell. The money's not that immediate right now, but it's still a little something.
Avi and I spent a lot of time on calling the absentee owner, the non-owner occupied, whichever term you want to use, and building relationships there, building a value proposition there. But at the same time, those people that literally just post their home up for rent. And there's two categories, the ones that are using a property manager, and then there's the ones that are just doing it by themselves. Let's dive in at the top. Avi and I have spent a long time together working on prospecting, and the framework that I introduced at the TAG event is to understand their mindset. And inside of understanding the for rent by owner mindset, the absentee owner mindset is really what we're looking for is what is the value that they would appreciate from us? How can we understand them better so that when we communicate with them, there's less resistance and there's a better conversation there. Inside of that, we're also looking at what is that unique value proposition. One of the things that Avi and I have worked on for years, whether it's with expireds, whether it's at an open house, or whether it's the for rent owners, what is that service that we can bring to them and just serve first and sell second so that they are appreciative of us and thankful to us. But also on the second phase of this is that our mindset is good, that we feel good making these calls. And if someone hangs up on us, it's not that big of a deal. Someone basically is like a hard no and rude to us, it's not that big of a deal, because more often than not, we know that if someone is open to having a good conversation with us, success will ensue and that we have something to offer them. So let's dive into these two topics of the mindset. I think, Avi, you shared something incredibly valuable to me recently, which was understanding who that target avatar was of the for rent by owner. Why don't we start there and we'll dig in a little bit into this topic.
Yeah, I think you nailed a lot of great points. And thank you as always for letting me come on and jam with you. I love these sessions and I think people find it very valuable. But I think it really did start back because when we first started working together, it was 2019. That was a long time ago, time flies, but we really started to dive into expireds. And I think that was one area that I had really immediate success in. And we've been able to take, I feel like, the same mindset, same skills, same aptitudes, and bring it over to this space. And this space is way less competitive. So honestly, if you bring the same level of scripting, of service, of value to this next group of potential sellers, you're going to find your conversion rate and your competition significantly higher than the expired game, which is obviously a huge gold mine. Expireds, they work, but you're obviously going against a lot of other people inquiring, and there's a lot more of a wall. Same scripts are a little bit tweaked on this topic has allowed me to set so many appointments and could basically go from appointment to listing, very small, like you get through a couple objections and you're basically on the doorstep. And these people oftentimes are either ready to list with you now or at least in the future.
I want to stop right there because you actually bring up an incredibly good point. I was having a little bit of a debate with the Tyler from RedX, and he said, if I wanted to get a listing right now, I wouldn't call the circle prospecting, I would do expireds. And I said, I respect what you're saying, Tyler, but the problem is the level of competition with the expireds is so high that even a good agent who's newer to the expireds is going to have a real tough time on the conversion, not because of the lack of good quality skills, not because of good lack of numbers and a work ethic. It's actually just because the competition is so stiff. Yep. And I was creating a point to him that the same amount of effort might get a better and a faster reward if you take the same effort over to a kind of a lower competition environment. So thank you for bringing this up. You're 100% right. The competition is significantly less. And I even like how you frame that. It's like a little less work, right? The same work gets you a better result faster. And I would say the same thing goes with the for sale by owner to create some contrast. Sure, I can book an appointment with a for sale by owner pretty much like 1 out of 5, but the conversion on the appointment is really more closer to 1 out of 5 and a little longer. So it's interesting as we pay more attention to these things. I just want to acknowledge that was a really important point. Yep. So tell us a little bit more about what you learned about the ideal avatar for the for rent by owner.
So in my market, and I feel like this is pretty market set, like it could be really in any market, but my ideal avatar, the people that really need my help, oftentimes, most likely baby boomers or clientele, I would say, that are retired and they've bought oftentimes 1, 2, sometimes 3 or 4 properties, you know, in the 80s, 90s. She lives in San Diego. She bought this house in the early 90s for 150, 182 or something, like between 150 and 200. And so her property tax is so low. She's a little freaked out about the current political climate, so she doesn't want to sell right now. She has a little bit of indecisiveness, and we've gone back and forth on if we sell it now or rent it, and she's going to rent it for another year. But she lives out of the area. She's retired. She's a full-time grandma. She's very active in her grandkids' lives, and she has these amazing assets that are paying her for her retirement and for her maybe going to be her grandkids' college accounts. But she doesn't have the time, the energy, the wherewithal to be a good property manager. And she had listed it for rent by owner. She was on the market for a long time before I called her, had a little bit of initial. She had done it by herself in the past and was like, I can handle it. And then we just had a bunch of good conversations. And she was like, okay, you know what? It's time for me to get some proper help. And these are the people, perfect people, those retirees. They have these assets that are very valuable and they just need some professional help and guidance. They've done it maybe in the past on their own, but times have changed, technology's changed, and they need help. Her listing was on Zillow with 10 of her own little Galaxy whatever photos. And I paid $200 for professional marketing, and I look like Neil Patel, or freaking an amazing marketer. Like, I optimize everything on Zillow just using ChatGPT, and I'm getting from her getting no hits for a month. I'm getting all these hits and showings, and I look like the man.
Yeah, so let's reverse engineer. So one of the things that we discussed on using the for rent by owner, using the absentee owner strategy to try and get into these higher end marketplaces.
Yes.
One of the things we just talked about was like, what service could we offer them that would add value to their experience? And you nailed it. It's identifying the for rent by owner that just use their iPhone. They don't know how to write a really good description. We see those all the time in our marketplaces. So did you pay for the $200 and then you listed it as a for rent property first? Outline a little bit about how you guys made that transition, because I don't know that I remember you making that transition from I want to just list the property to now I'm listing the actually for rent and building a relationship with the customer as a property manager. Can you talk a little bit about how you figured that service out?
Yeah, I think honestly, so when I came back, obviously I was traveling for a long time and my pipeline was dead. And when I first started out, I did a couple of rental deals. And now how I look at it is I have a handful of offerings, a menu that I can offer someone. And this lady, she wanted tenant acquisition services, which I'll just do a flat rate fee, usually half of 1 month's rent, pretty low, honestly. But I pay for the little $200 worth of photos and I do the marketing, and I'm making sure I have it clearly written up that I'm not the property manager. When something breaks, when something's an issue, all the payments. So she still wants to be the landlord, to kind of be there. And I can also offer property management services where I'll charge about 10% of the gross lease. But that's one of my offerings. I'll just do, hey, Patrick, all you need is tenant acquisition. What I can do is this. Here's a look at one of my recent ones that we had 10 applications in a week after it had been on the market for 2 months with no applications. I can basically make your property stand out and get a lot of eyes, handle the showings, find you a great tenant, and then you can go from there. So that's one of my offerings on the menu that a lot of people find very attractive, and it's a foot in the door. And I'm going to be this lady's listing agent, I would say 100% when it's time to sell. And yeah, the money's not that immediate right now, but it's still a little something. And I get to meet good prospective future buyers because $5,000 a month property. And so if you can pay $5,000 a month now, in a year or two, you might be buying it. It's a great initial offering.
Hey everybody, the first appointment setting game event was a success. For those of you who've been following along the channel and learning about the tag event at the Tom Ferry headquarters in Orange County, beautiful building, his amazing facility. We hosted 40 real estate agents, 100% focused on booking appointments. And we ended up with roughly 3,600 dials out, 512 conversations recorded, 84 appointments booked, 92 new lead opportunities discovered. We had such a blast. I just want to make sure that everybody has a good time. If you're brand new to making cold calls, to make those first calls, generate those first leads, and get over the hump. I had Michelle, she says, hey, thank you so much for getting me back on the horse with my discipline of prospecting. And then she said, the listing appointment that I booked, they're going to go with us. I got a great text from Brandon, a picture of the listing contract signed from the appointment that he booked at the event. Here's the problem. We're just working on the logistics of the next session and the calendar. To learn more is to go down below and just get yourself signed up on the wait list. I can just give you the direct announcements of when the next event is so that you can make sure that you reserve your spot before anyone else. I'm assuming these events will sell out. There's not enough room to have a lot of people in there. If you sign up for the wait list, I will also add you into my sales conversion newsletter. This week, I'm going to be interviewing Avi Becker on his entire breakdown of the absentee owner, the scripting, the mindset, the tool, the resources, everything that he's doing. So just go down below, get signed up. I look forward to having you at that next event.